We are the Gujarat Technological University. Since its inception over a decade ago, GTU has been empowering young and curating minds to realize their true potential. Over 4 lakh inspired students are enrolled with one of the premier academic universities in India. With more than 450 affiliated colleges in its fold operating across 5 zones of the state, GTU, the International Innovative University, your place to move forward.
Okay, good morning, students. This is Dr. Vipul Mistry. We are going to start the lecture on MOSFET, inverter character, MOSFET, voltage and current characteristics. This is part of MOSFET basics, and subject is VLSI design, semester 6, electronics and communication engineering department. So in our previous sessions, you must be knowing that how the MOS works. So MOSFET is basically the combination of metal, oxide and semiconductor. So before we start the exact configuration of MOSFET, let's go back and just revise the content of MOS. So MOS is metal, oxide and semiconductor. There are 3 different layers. Okay, now just because of this, there are different effects. Let's say if how this MOS is working, because that is also very important before we go into the details of the MOSFET IV characteristics. Because when we study the MOS, there are different functions like this. So this is your simple construction of MOS, where this region is your substrate region. In between there is an oxide region, and then there is a metal region. Okay, now if you consider a simple MOS structure, then at the terminal, gate terminal, you need to apply the external voltage. So based on the type of voltage which is applied, the different phenomena takes place, and that is the reason why the conduction takes place and you may have a channel creation. So what is the concept behind that? So let's study that. So this is known as MOS system under the external bias. So let's consider first of all, if we are having a MOS structure, let's apply some amount of negative voltage at the gate terminal. So this is simple MOS. This is not a MOSFET. This is a simple MOS structure where this is metal. In between there is an oxide region, and then there is a substrate region. So here we are talking about P-type substrate. Okay, so this is a P-type substrate region. There is an oxide region, and then there is a metal region. So at the gate terminal, if you apply some amount of negative voltage, then what will happen? So we all know that in P-type substrate, the majority of carriers are holes and they are positive, and minority carriers are electrons. So when you apply the negative voltage, the minority carriers will be penetrated because they will be repelled because of the negative voltage which is applied at the gate. So minority carriers will go down, and the positive voltage, positive carriers, that is hole, which are also majority in the number, they will be attracted and they will be collected at the oxide substrate surface. So because of that, the holes are accumulated on the surface, and there is not possibility of any conduction of electrons in this particular case. Only holes are collected. So therefore, this particular condition is known as accumulation. So this is what happens when the some amount of negative voltage is applied in P-type substrate material at the gate terminal. Okay, now if you slightly apply the positive voltage, let's say if you apply some amount of positive voltage, then what will happen? So if you apply a positive voltage, small positive voltage, then in this particular case, the minority carriers will be attracted, and majority carriers, which are holes, they will be repelled back. Okay, so in that particular case, the oxide region will come down, and the electrons will start getting collected at the oxide substrate interface. So you can say that this is the region where the depletion region is starting to create, okay, starting to be created. So this is the case when you apply small amount of positive voltage. Now this particular condition is known as depletion, because this region has started to be depleted. Now when you keep on increasing this positive voltage, let's say if this Vg is increased further, then what will happen? So if you keep on increasing this Vg, then in that particular case, more and more number of negative charges, that is the minority charge carriers, electrons, they will be collected and they will be gathered at this oxide interface surface, and the majority carriers will go down. Now as you can see here also in this energy band diagram, if you keep on increasing the positive voltage, this EI is going down. So it will reach a point where this Fermi energy, that where the energy at the surface is exactly same as the bulk energy. This is the bulk energy and this is the energy at the surface. So energy at the surface is exactly same as the bulk energy, but it is quite opposite. So bulk potential and the surface potential both are same but opposite in the nature. So we can say that at the boundary, it is the Fermi, the energy is below the Fermi energy level, and this is nothing but the n-type semiconductor material. So whenever your energy goes below the Fermi energy potential, then that is the characteristic of n-type substrate material. So you can see that at the surface, the substrate material is acting like an n-channel material. So you can see that the n-type layer is created between the oxide and the p-type substrate material. So this is the concept. This is what is known as inversion. And the condition for inversion is whenever this potential is equal and opposite. Okay, so this is the condition, and this is the concept which is used and which is taken forward in the MOSFET. So now let's take this extension, this particular work, into the MOSFET formation. So how the MOSFET is first of all made. So in the previous session, in the previous theory that we just recalled back, there was a concept of metal, then there is an oxide region, and then there is a substrate region. So the same theory is applicable here, but when you talk about a MOSFET, there are two different kind of junctions: the source region, drain region. This is metal, oxide, semiconductor. Okay, so this is how the MOSFET is made. So there are three terminals: source, gate, and drain. Apart from that, there is fourth terminal, which is a substrate terminal. Okay. Okay. So sorry for the interruption. So we were talking about the construction of physical structure of N-channel enhancement type MOSFET. So as you can see that in N-channel enhancement type MOSFET, there is a substrate region, and this substrate is consist of P-type substrate material. There is an oxide region, there is a metal, and then there are source and drain region, which are consisting of N plus type of impurities. Now, what is difference between N and N plus type of impurities? The plus sign indicates more amount of impurity than the normal n-type substrate material. So here the doping level is more. Okay, the region between the drain and source indicates the channel region, and this is the length of the channel. This is a two-dimensional view. If you extend it to the three-dimensional, then this will become the width of the channel. So length and width of the channel are given. Drain, source are the two different regions: the source terminal, drain terminal, gate terminal, and substrate terminal. Now, what is the simple operation that how this MOSFET is working? So there are different voltages which will control the operation of this MOSFET. So we'll first of all fix the gate voltage. So as we have seen in the MOS structure, if this is a p-type substrate, if you apply the negative voltage, then the p-type holes will be there between this source and drain. Now source and drain are n plus type of regions, so majority of the charge carriers are electron. So if there is a path between source and drain in which the electrons can flow, then and then the conduction takes place, means your entire MOSFET starts working. So for that particular case, you need to create a channel, because the channel is not ideally created when there is no gate voltage in case of the enhancement type of MOSFET. So how it will take place? So you need to start applying some positive voltage. So as soon as you start applying the positive voltage, what will happen? The majority charge carriers of this substrate will go down, and minority charge carriers will be starting to be collected at this oxide substrate interface, and they will be creating at this particular place. And whenever the bulk potential is equals to surface potential, but surface potential is exactly opposite to the bulk potential of this substrate region, then at the boundary, the this region will start acting as a n-type material and the channel will be created. So that is the basic case how the channel is created. Okay, so with this concept, the oxide, this is what we are happening, that when a small gate voltage is applied, majority carriers are repelled back into the substrate, the surface of the P substrate is depleted, and current conduction between S and D is still not possible. Why not possible? Because still the region is depleted, but the channel is not that much created. So when you keep on increasing the positive voltage, then there will be a channel, the inversion will take place. So this is the concept of surface inversion. So surface inversion, what is the condition for surface inversion? The bulk potential should be same as the surface potential, but it should be opposite in the nature. So the phi s minus phi f should be equals to 2 phi f. The subtraction is equals to 2 phi f. So in this particular case, the inversion takes place, and this region at the channel and this region between the oxide region and substrate acts like an inverted n-channel material. So this is p-type substrate, but this region is acting like an n-type substrate material. Okay, so this is how the channel is created. Now the voltage at which the channel is created is known as a threshold voltage of the MOSFET. So this threshold voltage is known as the minimum amount of gate voltage that is required to turn on the MOSFET. That's what we can say, because at this particular voltage, the channel is created between drain and source, and therefore this voltage is known as the threshold voltage. So once your MOSFET is on, you can now control the characteristics of the MOSFET. Okay, so let's consider that part also. So to understand the VI characteristics, like when you increase the current, when you increase the voltage, what will happen to current and so on. So the formation of these IV characteristics, to understand that, if you apply some amount of voltage between drain and source, that is VDS, how the current will change. Because right now the condition is your VS is connected to ground, your substrate is connected to ground, your drain is connected to ground. So only voltage which is applied is the gate voltage, and this gate voltage is greater than the threshold voltage, so that channel is created. Channel is created means MOSFET is ready to work. Still there is no conduction of charge between drain and source. Why? Because there is no external potential. Whatever is there, that is quite balanced. Okay, now in this particular case, if this VDS is increased, so if you start giving the voltage at the drain and between drain and source terminal, so what will happen now? So this will give rise to the characteristics of your MOSFET. Okay, so that's what we are going to study now, that what happens once your MOSFET is on, and if you keep on increasing VDS, then what will happen. So to understand that effect, let's first of all consider the analysis here. So when you have to consider the MOSFET region, so this is what it happens. So when you increase your VDS now, so as your VGS is greater than VT0, the gate to source voltage, because every voltage is measured with reference to source, the gate to source voltage is greater than threshold voltage, so channel is created, the substrate terminal is connected to ground, and now you are slightly giving the drain terminal voltage, that is VDS. So if you give the VDS, then the current will start increasing with reference to VDS, because the electrons will enter and they will be moving away. Okay, these electrons will be attracted by this positive voltage, because this is a positive voltage. So electrons in the drain region, electrons in this channel will be attracted and they will be entering into the drain terminal. And as you know that the movement of electron is opposite to the movement of current, so therefore the current starts flowing from drain to source terminal. So this is what happens. So initially when your MOSFET is on, means your VGS is greater than threshold voltage, and if you slightly increase the VDS from 0, then for the some initial portion, as you increase the VDS, the current will also start increasing. So that is ultimately your ID is increasing. So you can see that there is an ideal linear relationship between the current as well as the voltage, that is current ID and the voltage VDS. Okay, so the channel acts as a voltage control resistor, and the electron velocity much lower than the drift velocity. So therefore as the VDS increases, the current ID also increases, and this is the region which is known as a linear region of the characteristics. So you can see that within this particular case, if you increase the VDS, then your current ID is also increasing. Now, what will happen in the further case? So in the next case, okay, so this is where we were. Now let's move further. If your VDS is reaching VDS saturation, means let's say if your VD is increasing and it reaches a point when the VDS is equals to VGS minus VT, the voltage between the VGS and the threshold voltage, VGS minus VT. When the VDS reaches VGS minus VT, then what will happen? The channel starts to taper. Now, why this is the case? Why your channel is not linear, uniform? It is slightly tapered at the drain side, because you can see that initially your channel was completely established, and whenever you start increasing the VDS, this is what is there. The channel is uniform whenever no gate, no drain to source voltage is applied. Now, if you keep on increasing the VDS, then very first is your channel will be established, but it will be tapered, and this tapering is there at the drain side. Okay, so now if you further increase the VDS, more and more amount of current will flow, but at the same time the channel will become more and more tapered. So it will reach a point whenever your VDS is equals to VGS minus VT, the pinch off will take place. Pinch off will take place means the channel will be completely tapered at the drain side. So this is the voltage at which your channel is completely off from the drain side, and that is known as the pinch off voltage. So the value of VDS at which the pinch off takes place is known as the pinch off voltage. What is the value of this pinch off voltage? So this value of VDS is equals to VGS minus VT. VGS minus VT is the voltage at which the pinch off takes place. Now what will happen? After this point, if you increase the VDS, then ideally there is no channel. So therefore the charges from this source side cannot enter into the drain. The electron from this source cannot enter into the drain after the pinch off takes place, because there is no path. Ideally the current should become drastically, it should reduce to zero, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because whenever you are increasing the VDS, it is now the velocity saturation is taking place. The velocity at which the electrons are moving between this source and drain has increased, and at the saturation point the velocity is very much higher. So therefore the electrons which are coming from this side, if your VDS is greater than VDS saturation, then the electrons which are coming from the source side, as soon as they reach at the end of this channel, because of their velocities, they cross this region and they enter into the drain. So there is some constant amount of saturation current which starts flowing, and this particular current is known as ID saturation. So you can see that now your increase in the current will not be linear, but still there will be some amount of constant current which will be flowing into the saturation region. So this is known as the saturation condition in case of MOSFET. So we are having three different conditions in which the MOSFET works. Very first condition is your MOSFET is in the cutoff region. So what is the condition for the cutoff region? There is no channel. And what is the requirement for no channel condition? That when your gate voltage VGS is less than VT, then the channel is not created and there cannot be a current flow between drain and source. Okay, so that is known as cutoff condition. The second condition in which the MOSFET works is the linear condition. What is linear condition? In this case, your MOSFET is on, so channel is created. Means what? Your VGS is greater than VT. Now your drain to source voltage VDS is applied, and initially your VDS is less than VGS minus VT, or your VDS is less than VDS saturation. So during this region, as you increase the VDS, the current also increases linearly, and this region and this particular characteristic region is known as linear region. Now once it reaches the saturation point, once your VDS is equals to VGS minus VT, after that point the pinch off takes place, and the further increase in the VDS will cause the channel to reduce. So in this particular case, your constant current is flowing because of the velocity saturation, and this particular current is known as the saturation current. So these are the three different stages in which the MOSFET is working: the cutoff region, linear region, and saturation region. So ideally we can say that if your MOSFET is off means what? Your gate voltage is less than threshold voltage. In that case current ID is zero. whenever your MOSFET enters into the linear region. So what is the condition for linear region? Your VGS is greater than VT and your VDS is positive. This VDS is applied, but this VDS is less than VGS minus VT. So these are the two conditions which makes your MOSFET to enter into the linear region. The first condition is VGS should be greater than VT, and second condition is VDS should be less than VGS minus VT. So in this particular case, your MOSFET remains into the linear region and it acts like a constant current variable. It acts like a variable voltage source, like so in this particular case, the slight amount of voltage increase will also cause the increase into the ID region, and it is acting like a voltage controlled resistor. Now, if once your VDS crosses the VGS minus VT mark, it enters into the saturation region. The channel is pinched off and it is reduced, and now the constant amount of ID is flowing. That is known as ID saturation. So, an ID saturation means your VGS is still greater than VT, but your VDS is greater than VGS minus VT. So that is known as saturation region. Now to extract what is the mathematical values between in this ID linear and ID saturation values. So to determine these values, the GCA model is applied. So GCA model is basically known as gradual channel approximation model. So these are the approximated values of the MOSFET current IV characteristic, that is ID versus VD. So for different values of VDS, what are the values of ID that can be approximated using this gradual channel approximation. So before we start deriving the ID values on the linear and saturation conditions, let's first of all understand some assumptions of this gradual channel approximation. Why we are saying this is an approximation? Because we are considering only 2D model. So here we are not considering the width of the channel. We are only considering the length of the channel. So we are assuming that the width, the movement of electrons in the width part, that is exempted. We are only considering the linear movement into the channel. So that is the first assumption. The second thing is we are keeping Vs is equals to Vb equals to 0. So VGS and VDS are the external parameters controlling the IB. So we are neglecting the effect of this substrate right now. So this VSB is equals to 0. So the current will be only controlled by this VGS and VDS. Now, another thing is we will make this VGS greater than VT0. As we will make this VGS greater than VT0, your channel is created, and now the only controlling parameter is your VDS. So now if you increase your VDS, what will happen to the current? That's what we need to evaluate. Another thing is some of the terms which are defined. The first term is X direction and Y direction. So X direction is perpendicular to the surface, pointing down in the substrate. So as you can see here, this is the X direction of the movement of electrons, and this is the Y direction of the movement of electrons. So through the channel, movement of electron is considered as the Y directional movement, and the perpendicular direction is considered as the X direction movement. So parallel to the surface is Y direction. The Y is equals to 0 at the source and Y is equals to L at the drain. So we say that the channel length is capital L. So this is the point where Y equals to 0, and this is the point where Y equals to L. Assume that the electric field EY is dominant. We are assuming that the electric field in this Y direction is dominant compared to the X direction. So we are assuming that the movement of electron is more affected by the linear movement, that is in the horizontal direction rather than the vertical direction. So we are considering that part. So this assumption reduces the current flow into the Y direction only. So why this is an approximation? So these are the approximations, like it's a 2D model. We are not considering the movement of electrons in the width direction. We are not considering the movement of electron in the vertical direction. We are assuming that the electric field in the linear direction, that is towards the drain, is maximum, and the electrons will be moving from source to drain. So with that assumption, we will start considering this particular model. So now, as you know that the voltage, charge and capacitance, these three are the parameters which are interrelated to each other. So what is the charge in this channel? What is the charge in this channel? So charge in this channel at the point Y, because the charge in this channel is a function of y. As you go from y equals to 0 to y equals to L, the electron charge in the inversion region changes. So this charge is a function of y, which is equals to minus COX, which is the capacitance, into VGS minus VT0 into the voltage minus the voltage of this channel. So the terminal is, what is the charge? The value of charge is capacitor into voltage. We are considering the charge in the channel, so this is minus COX. Why the negative sign is there? Because this is an n channel, so the carriers, the charges is basically electrons, so therefore the negative sign is there, and negative sign is making that QIY is minus COX into what is the voltage? Voltage is VGS minus VT minus channel voltage, which is a function of y. So VGS minus VC of y minus VT0. So this is the voltage which is there in the channel. Now the further, if this is the charge, then we are also considering that this is a constant voltage variable resistor. The path between the channel, drain and source is the voltage variable resistor. So what is the value of this resistor? So in this channel, we are assuming that within this small incremental length of dy, within this small incremental length of dy, the resistance is constant. This is another assumption that we are making. So with reference to that, within this small region, what is dr? So the resistor change in resistor dr is minus of dy into width into mobility of electron into charge in that particular case. So this is what we are having. So this is the total resistance, change in resistance with reference to change in the channel length. So dy, change, incremental variation in this y will cause incremental variation in this resistance dr, something like this. So now we are having the term resistance dr, and we are having the variation in resistance with reference to variation in the channel. So you can see that now voltage is equals to current into the resistance. So dVc is equals to id into dr. So what is the variation in voltage with reference to variation in channel length? So as the channel length varies, the resistance varies. As the resistance varies, the voltage varies. So therefore dVc is equals to id into dr. You simply need to put the value of dr here and then perform the integration, and this integration leads us to the formula of id, that is equals to k by 2 into 2 times VGS minus VT0 into VDS, and this VDS minus VDS square, where k is equals to k dash into W by L. So this is the equation that we are having, which is considered as the linear equation. So this is what happens when your VGS is greater than VT, means channel is created, and your VDS is less than VGS minus VT. So during the point when your VDS is 0 to VDS is less than VGS minus VT, the current increases linearly, and the value is k by 2 into 2 times VGS minus VT0 into VDS minus VDS square, where the k is the empirical parameter k dash into W by L. This k dash is equals to mu n into COX. Okay, so all in all, you can see that once you have fixed your VGS, your VT0 is also fixed, your VDS is also fixed. So your ID is only depending on W and L, because mu n and COX are also fixed. So if you vary the width and length of your MOSFET, then you can control the value of your linear current. So from the design perspective, the width and length ratio of MOSFET plays an important role. So this is what the MOSFET value or the current value in the linear region. Now what will happen in the saturation region? So if you increase your VDS further, let's say if your VDS is increased beyond VGS minus VT. So if your VDS is increased beyond VGS minus VT, then what will happen? The value of VDS is replaced by VGS minus VT, and the equation becomes simply K by 2 into VGS minus VT0 whole square. So now it is no longer depending on VDS. So you can see that your ID saturation is simply depending on VGS minus VT. There is the term VDS is completely eliminated. So ideally, after the point of saturation, if you increase VDS, then current should remain constant. It is not depending on VDS. There is no change in the VDS. So this should be the ideal characteristic, that after the point of saturation, your VDS should be constant. Your VDS should be, your current ID should be constant. But this is not happening, because there is one more parameter, which is W by L. If you increase your current beyond, if you increase your VDS beyond VDS saturation, then your channel length is reducing, and just because of that, the L is varying. the L is reducing and this ID is increasing by a small amount. So there is an incremental change into the ID. So if you just refer this IV characteristic, then this is the point where your MOSFET is in the cutoff region when your VGS is less than VT. Once your channel is created, and if you increase the VDS, your ID is increasing linearly. So this is the case where your ID is equals to K by 2 into 2 times VGS minus VT into VDS minus VDS square, the equation that we have derived here in this particular case. And when your VGS is greater than VGS minus VT, then it enters into the saturation region and the value is K by 2 into VGS minus VT whole square. So this is the saturation region current, ID saturation. So these are the three cases in which your MOSFET characteristic is obtained. So this is what happens. And beyond this VDS saturation, what will happen if you keep on increasing the VDS in this saturation region? Then the length is reducing. The length is reducing, so therefore your ID saturation is not constant, but it is increasing by a small amount, and that variation is known as increase in the current with reference to increase into the VDS saturation voltage, that is known as channel length modulation. So we'll continue with channel length modulation in our next video. Thank you so much.